Everybody ready? Good evening. I'm Colonel Robert Hodges, Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. Today we gather to give an update on the 10 fugitives. 3 have been captured thus far, 7 remain at large. Louisiana State Police is the lead agency on this investigation. However, it would not be without the help of our local partners from New Orleans Police Department, Chief Ann Kirkpatrick, as well as our neighboring sheriffs in all 4 of the border parishes, our additional state partners, Secretary Gary Westcott of Corrections, Probation and Parole, as well as all of our federal partners, FBI Special Agent in Charge, Jonathan Tapp, ATF Special Agent in Charge, Joshua Jackson, Homeland Security Investigations, Deputy SAC Matthew Wright, also Secret Service Special Agent in Charge, Andy Kearns. Those partners are incredibly important to our success. They're a force multiplier. Y'all are aware when we spoke about 2 days ago, these fugitives may not just be in New Orleans, they've possibly moved out to other parishes and other states. And the combination of local, state, and federal law enforcement working collectively to ensure the capture and safety of everyone is our top priority. We also have with us from the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's Office, Director of Investigations, Leon Canizero, as well as you can see behind me, Mayor LaToya Cantrell from the City of New Orleans, our Senate President, Cameron Henry, Governor Jeff Landry and his wife Sharon, as well as our Executive Director and CEO of Crime Stoppers of Greater New Orleans, Darlene Costanza. Can't speak enough about the partnership with Crime Stoppers and the rewards that both ATF, FBI, and Crime Stoppers have brought in numerous tips which have led to strong investigative leads. We're confident this time that we have actionable intelligence on all 7 of those fugitives. And we hope in the coming days, if not the coming hours, that we have them all apprehended. But we need the public's help. And we cannot do it alone. More importantly, if you are helping and assisting these fugitives, allowing them to remain uncaptured and not brought to justice, there will be consequences. And there may be charges for you. So please, we ask you to do the right thing and contact law enforcement. There are several ways you can contact us. They've been on all of our social media platforms. And I would just like to specifically remind everyone of where they are, lsp.org, for any suspicious activity. You can also call the State Police Fusion Center, Crime Stoppers of Greater New Orleans, the FBI hotline. All of this information is on all the platforms, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, Twitter, X, as well as our partner agencies. If you feel when you see law enforcement in your area and someone's concerned, don't be alarmed. Obviously, we're trying to bring these fugitives to justice. And it's going to require a law enforcement presence. These are violent criminals, and they escaped. And they have consequences for their actions, and that requires a law enforcement presence, sometimes tactical equipment. State Police, along with our partners, has air assets in the air, drone, criminal intelligence, detectives, patrol troopers, as well as uniformed officers from other local agencies. So if you happen to see them in your neighborhood, you should feel confident that that law enforcement presence is trying to bring those escapees to justice. And if you see something, you can always call 911 if you feel unsafe. We understand it may cause you a little bit of alarm, but know that we are here to protect everyone in the City of New Orleans and everyone in the state. And of course, our federal partners will ensure that everyone is taken care of outside of Louisiana. 3 of the escapees were captured within the first 24 hours with the help of the public. I'm going to say it again, with the help of the public and Crime Stoppers. They were relocated to another state facility in Louisiana to ensure their security and safety, as well as everyone else who resides in the state. I'm going to turn it over now to Special Agent in Charge of the New Orleans FBI Field Office, Jonathan Tapp. Jonathan.
Thank you, Colonel Hodges. Good evening. I'm Jonathan Tapp, Special Agent in Charge of the FBI here in New Orleans. 7 dangerous inmates have been on the streets for more than 2 days. And we strongly believe that there are folks out there helping these inmates evade capture. The FBI wants to know, along with our law enforcement partners, that the FBI will work together to ensure that those people helping these inmates evade recapture will be held accountable. These inmates are accused of serious crimes, and until they are back in custody, we should all remain vigilant. We appreciate all the tips we've received so far, and we want you to know that the FBI and our law enforcement partners have been working 24/7 to follow every lead. The FBI remains committed to protecting the American people, and we have agents and analysts working across the country. The FBI will not stop until all of these escaped inmates are recaptured. We're asking that everyone look at these pictures, and if you have seen any of them, please call. You can call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can submit a tip at fbi.gov/New Orleans Fugitives, or you can call any of our law enforcement partners here. I also want to let you know that we have increased the reward money from FBI from $5,000 to $10,000 per inmate. That's $10,000 from the FBI per inmate, $5,000 from ATF per inmate, and $2,000 from Crime Stoppers per inmate. So please, as Colonel Hodges said, we need help from the public, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Turn over to Governor Landry.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is a very unfortunate and disappointing circumstance. I want to echo my thanks to our federal and state and local partners and everyone out there who has been working extremely hard to try to capture these fugitives. I also want to thank my fellow colleague, Senate President Cameron Henry, who's here today. Darlene, I'd like you to know that in addition to the FBI increasing their award from $5,000 to $10,000, I would ask that you go ahead and increase the Crime Stoppers award to $5,000. That's a $3,000 increase. Both Senator Henry and I are going to cover that amount. I believe that the majority of citizens in this state and in this city want law and order and security in their neighborhoods, safe streets for their children, and that they are frustrated with the broken criminal justice system that places criminals and victims and diminishes the quality of life here in the state. They deserve better, and our citizens deserve accountability and transparency. Again, without the help of Troop NOLA, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, NOPD, ATF, and other law enforcement agents around the state, we would not be able to engage in this manhunt, and 3 of these fugitives would not be in custody. Last year, with an emphasis on public safety and violent crime, the legislature and I pursued accountability and transparency. And while some progress has been made, the current issue, I believe, reflects a persistent systemic problem that unfortunately is not unique to New Orleans. I have consistently said that our criminal justice system is like a 3-legged stool. One leg being law enforcement, one leg being prosecutors, the other leg being our courts. And if one of those legs fails, the entire system collapses. Let's talk about that for a minute. Our law enforcement officers around this state and in this city are doing an unbelievable job. And they're making their arrests. They're doing their part. Since the creation of Troop NOLA, last year, the state police currently has over 500 cases in the Orleans criminal court system that is being handled by the Attorney General. Now, once a person is arrested, we all know they are booked in a parish jail. And it brings us to why we are here today, which is a failure in the jail system. This massive jailbreak, which my statistics tell me could be the largest jailbreak in the history of the state, should never have happened. And the public deserves to know who, what, and how this happened. The responsibility for answering those questions will fall to the Attorney General. Her office will lead the investigation into this jailbreak. I've also ordered the Department of Corrections to audit the Orleans Parish Correctional Facility for compliance with basic jail guidelines and to remove all DOC inmates that were currently in the Orleans Parish Correctional Facility. I will be issuing an executive order that instructs the State Inspector General to get an inventory from the sheriff of all pretrial detainees and those awaiting sentences, like Derek Groves, the escapee, who pled guilty to manslaughter in October of last year and was awaiting sentencing. If he would have been sentenced by our court system, he most likely would not have had an opportunity to escape. That's extremely important. Now, once a person is booked, is arrested and booked, the case then goes to the district attorney or the attorney general. That is the second leg of our three-legged stool. Prosecutors who dismiss cases and release violent criminals must be addressed. 5 of these escapees had been charged while in jail. Kendall Miles, Lenton Vanberg were charged with battery on correctional officers. Those charges were refused by the district attorney. Robert Moody, Jermaine Donald, and Lenton Vanberg were all charged with contraband in jail. Their charges were refused by the district attorney. Prosecutors who are unprepared and delay cases for years must be addressed in this court system. 9 of the 10 escapees have been in the pretrial stages in OPCC for years now. Resolving these cases requires cooperation between the district attorney and judges, as only the judge has the ability to continue these cases. I'm asking the DA to explain to us and to the public why these cases are not progressing. The third leg of our stool is our courts. Last year, I requested the Louisiana Supreme Court to do an in-depth review of the Orleans criminal court system. They issued a finding, and I've been working inside the criminal court system to reprimand and to remove judges who are not properly administering their cases. We also established a more robust judicial commission by a constitutional amendment last year that was passed by the voters. That commission has recently been seated. I will be issuing an executive order asking the new Judiciary Commission to establish triggers for investigations by them, particularly in judicial districts with high crime rates, such as Orleans, East Baton Rouge, Rapides, Caddo. This executive order will mandate the commission to specify specific review triggers, including reviewing the number of judge trials and acquittal rates in criminal courts. There should be an automatic review of any judge that has a disproportionate number of acquittals, as we have seen here in Orleans Parish. Judges with cases of clear evidence of guilt but resulting in acquittals should be scrutinized. Investigating cases that take too long to go to trial. As I mentioned, 9 of these 10 escapees were sitting in jail waiting to go to trial. Had they gone to trial, had they been convicted, had they been sentenced, they will most likely not be in Orleans Parish Jail, but in our custody in one of the state penitentiaries. Addressing judges' failures to revoke probation for violations. Last year, our Secretary of Corrections highlighted the lenient enforcement of probation terms for violent offenders and the need for appropriate sentences. I passed that letter out to the press. It was in December of last year to both the district attorney and to the judges. I urge both the Orleans Parish District Attorney and the Criminal District Court to reevaluate the sentencing and take probation violations seriously. Probation should not be used to keep violent criminals from going to jail. I repeat, probation is not for violent criminals. The docket is also a key. My understanding is that the Orleans Parish Jail is beyond capacity because, again, the cases are not moving, such as 9 of the 10 escapees. Now, there is no excuse for the escape of these violent offenders. There is also no excuse for the way these cases are currently being mismanaged in our criminal justice system. Whether it's an escapee or a release, the public deserves to know why. And not just in Orleans Parish, but around the rest of the state as well. That brings us to a data issue. I'm also requesting that the Metropolitan Crime Commission work in the most violent crime cities in the state to establish a data modeling system similar to what they're doing here in Orleans. This will include regular reporting of crime data from the point of arrest to the point of conviction. I'm hoping that not only summer, but some sunlight has arrived in Louisiana. In closing, I continue to believe that our citizens want law and order. They want security in their neighborhoods, and they want safe streets for their children. The frustration grows with a broken criminal justice system. Our taxpayers and our citizens deserve transparency and accountability. The issues that I have laid out and the executive orders that will follow will demand that. This city has been misled by those who pour out-of-state money funding the promise of justice reform. Electing officials with no frontline experience and those who pander voters lead to a lack of safety and order, which is why we're standing here today, which is why so many of our law enforcement agencies have to comb this city and this street, hunting down some of the most dangerous criminals. The irony of the progressive promises that have been made to this city is clear. New Orleans handed the jail keys to those who vowed to keep criminals out of jail. And sadly, today, we show that it worked. I hope that everyone understands that the video of those prisoners escaping epitomizes a progressive criminal justice system. I again would ask the public for their prayers and thoughts of all of those law enforcement agents who are working diligently to hunt down these fugitives. We will find them and we will bring them back to justice. And to repeat what the colonel said, if anybody harbors them, if anybody aids them, and we find out, we will arrest you and we will bring you to justice as well. Thank you. We're happy to take any questions now.
Everybody gets one question on topic, and we'll start from the left to go left to right. All right. Well, I apologize for showing up a little late. Thank you, Governor, for your time. I'm Katie Royce with CBS News. A question that I would have is, you said that you're going to be requesting an audit of the sheriff's office. What will that entail? How much is it going to cost, and when is it starting?
The audit of the jail is going to be conducted by Department of Corrections. They have an audit review team that regularly reviews parish jails around the state. The cost, doesn't matter what the cost is. The matter of fact is it needs to be done. We're hoping to have that completed by the end of the week,
By the end of the week?
by the end of this week coming.
Governor, you mentioned the words accountability and transparency numerous times. In your assessment, who specifically needs to be held accountable and how?
Well, it seems like everyone, except for the police. They seem to be doing their job. I think that when you look at prosecutors, when you look at the court system, I think that there is some accountability that needs to be had inside of there. We started doing that last year. It's why we went into a special session to address crime. It's why you're starting to see some of the numbers around the state start to drop. However, the problem is we were just doing one part, which is the arresting of them. They then have to be placed through the system that ultimately finds out whether they're guilty or innocent, and if they're guilty and they're violent, they need to go to jail.
Where's the sheriff today?
I don't know. Hopefully minding the jail.
All right, next up.
On Friday, we were told that y'all had 7 strong leads for each of the inmates that were out on the run. How close would you say you are to catching them?
So the challenge that we all face is that they're constantly moving because they have help from the public. Unfortunately, they have friends and family members who are helping them and concealing them and helping them move, which makes law enforcement's job more challenging. We end up getting there just a little too late. But sooner or later, I'm confident with the team of officials behind me that we, whether it's a trooper, an agent, an officer, a sheriff's deputy, that we will track all 7 and bring them to justice.
My question is, how many of the escaped inmates do you believe have left the state, and have agencies in surrounding states like Mississippi or Texas been notified as well?
So, second part of your question, yes. Our neighboring states have been notified. As you see behind me, we have our federal agencies. I failed to point out earlier, U.S. Marshal Chief Walter Martin IV is here with us. The U.S. Marshal plays a critical role along with FBI, ATF, Secret Service, Homeland Security. So their jurisdictions expand across the country, and that's why they're so critical in helping us track them. So we have had some leads in other states, and unfortunately, once again, those leads didn't pan out. But again, the intelligence is good, and that's why we encourage the public to please continue to call. And for those who are helping, I know they may be your loved ones, but you're not helping the public, and you're not helping your family members, because they have consequences for the actions they committed. We know in this country you get a lot of freedoms, but with freedoms comes responsibility. And when you commit violent crimes, there are consequences. And those consequences are you remain in a jail or a prison until your day in court. And they chose not to do that and left the jail. So at this time, we don't believe anyone's outside the state, but that doesn't mean that they will leave the state, that they won't leave. So we continue to work all leads, and again, we feel confident about many of the calls and many of much of the information we have at this moment. It's just a matter of, can we get there before someone else helps them?
Next question. Anyone over here? Okay.
Hey, so federal monitors warned last year that security checks within the jail were only taking place about less than 15% of the time. Why was nothing changed after that? And then is there anything that the state is doing to increase staffing within these jails?
Look, I think that's a great question for you to ask the sheriff. She was a monitor at one particular time. I've been a huge critic of these consent decrees to begin with. I think we've got a very fair-minded judge over the consent decree of the jail. I'm hoping that he will help us sort this out. And again, those are questions that you should ask him. I think I also just want to say again to the public is that if you see something, you need to say something. This helps us. As Colonel Hodges said, and our federal partners know, the more information we can collect from the public, the quicker we can apprehend the rest of these criminals.
Next question.
Mayor Cantrell, this is the first time we've seen you publicly since this happened. What would you like to say to the citizens of New Orleans?
So first off, this isn't the first time that you've seen me, or the public, I would say, has seen me since this incident occurred. As I've told the public before, and I will continue to do that today, be as cooperative as possible. If you see something, absolutely say something. The Crime Stoppers and the partnership and the coordinated response here remain vigilant and are pursuing this manhunt, again, with real determination. And I know for a fact that we will bring justice, no doubt about that. This has been, I would say, a different issue, but the response has been the same from my standpoint. Unified command, we lean forward, we don't give up, we stay focused, and we get results done for the city of New Orleans as well as the state of Louisiana. So that's what I say today. That's what I will continue to say as it relates to the work that's being done, again, by the hardworking men and women of all law enforcement agencies that have been boots on the ground. The city of New Orleans will also continue to ensure that funding for the jail has been a priority since taking office. 7 years, actually last week, My administration has put forth over $577 million for the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. $460 million of that have been on operating expenses alone, with an increase of $36 million relative to capacity building, in which we have been funding. In addition to that, it's been capital improvements that rest around $116 million, where $104 million has been allocated to build Phase 3, as was mandated by the federal judge that we do that. So we have been doing our part, my administration, and we will continue to do that on behalf of the residents and visitors that we serve every day. But I am absolutely happy to even say, in spite of this manhunt, the city of New Orleans has been hosting thousands of visitors in our great city, having the time of their life, participating in graduations, again, showing love to our graduates and families throughout this city, and even cultural events that are going on right now. But as they do, our focus remains the same. Manhunt, we will get it done. Thank you very much.
Governor, Jackson Fager, if one of the escapees is watching this right now on TV, what is your message to them?
Turn yourself in. Turn yourself in.
So the sheriff previously said that she suspected there was the possibility that it was an inside job. Is there an update on the standing of that investigation, or if any disciplinary action has been brought against any employees?
Look, I know Leon Canizero is here representing the Attorney General's office. I know that, I'm pretty sure, unless he would say something different, this matter is under investigation and they won't be commenting at this time.
Mayor, I just wanted to know if you could comment on any questions about the timeline. Are you satisfied with how quickly the public was informed about the escapees?
I'm satisfied by the response of my executive officers, as well as the men and women that represent the New Orleans Police Department. Boots on the ground did not waver and haven't wavered since then. Thank you.
I think it's important that we don't look certainly the Attorney General is going to get us some answers looking backwards. Right now, we're looking forward, which making sure that we apprehend the last 7 of these 10 fugitives.
John Wyatt News here. Has anyone, Governor Landry, or are you going to be issuing an executive order to see what really happened at the jail? How did it start? Where did the breakdowns come from?
Again, that responsibility is going to fall to the Attorney General, and we're going to let them conduct their investigation upon her timeline. All right, thank you all so very much.